So, the story of Goofy. Goofy was a deer that I got introduced to 3 years ago. Been hunting for 3 years, and he was a ghost. He would show up 20 yards from where your stand is the day you weren't there. He would walk out in the middle of the field with a doe, tromping around when you were 100 yards away. He was just leaps and bounds ahead of us all the time. And the big reason was the first pictures we got of him were in 2012. And they guessed him to be about 2.5, 3.5 at the time. So it's 2021. You put that in perspective, you know, he's over 10 years old, probably in that 12.5 to 13.5 year range. And he was goofy. He was goofy. He had one side perfect, the other side was just one horn. And every year, he never changed. And I hunted him hard. The first time I ever got close to him, I had him at 40 yards. I was out with my wife and done a little rattling right at daybreak. And she seen the deer come out. And I grabbed my bow, I started getting ready, and I noticed he's got a weird antler. And I see him turn. I'm like, oh shit, it's Goofy. This deer we've all been hunting, this deer the whole neighborhood has wanted to get their hands on. He comes out facing us 40 yards. And I wasn't confident in a 40-yard shot regardless. Definitely not facing me. Definitely not on alert from rattling. So I never took the shot. But once he looked out and seen there was no deer, he turned around and got out of there. He was smart. You know, that's why he lived so long. So I was doing bedding work about 3 weeks ago, and I noticed some fur. I was like, man, another deer, another doe, another small yearling or something. And I'm looking, trying to find a head or something just so I know. And I turn, and there's that rack. There's that Goofy rack. And my heart just sunk a little bit. Like, I know it's a deer, but it's 3 years of your life that you've been watching this deer grow, and the stories we've had after hunting, before hunting. You know, he was like a monarch of our hunting ground. And I went up to him, and he died. He must have died. Yeah, I know he died during the season. During rut, we basically lost track of him, which is weird. No pictures, no nothing. And I usually got pictures on 3 or 4 of my cameras, 3 or 4 of my stands. Always had him. Whether I was there, no, you know. But he was always there when I wasn't. And he just quit showing up. And the whole time I'm just sick thinking somebody got him. Which is okay, but I just wanted to know. You know, that was the biggest thing. I just wanted to know who had him. And here he is. He is a 116-inch 5-pointer. And the reason I labeled this video this is because most people would have seen this deer years ago and seen that he had a messed up antler and killed him because it's his genetics. I'll just explain this. Genetics does not mess with one antler. You're not going to have one beautiful antler and one messed up antler because of genetics. That's not how it works. It's an injury. And it's either, if it's a back leg injury, it's the opposite side antler most of the time. It's a front leg injury, it's the same side antler. Or it's a pedicle injury where the actual antler grows from the skull. And I always knew that he had an injury because he also would limp. A lot of videos he would limp in, or you kind of see him he'd ease on his one side. And now that I found his head, I can really show you guys why there's no such thing as a call buck. And plus, it doesn't work like that. You're in the wild. You can't kill off bad genetics and think that you're going to make a difference. You're not going to. A doe carries 50% of the genetics, so how do you know if she has bad genetics? You don't. And killing a buck in the wild is not going to change. It's just not how it works. There's too many variables. So I'll zoom in and get I'll explain to you about this pedicle and what must have happened. I really don't know how he got injured. I'm guessing he got hit by a car. But it's a pretty cool learning experience. So the main thing I notice with his pedicle is the right side is perfect. Looks like a mushroom. Grows up out of his head perfect. Now if you turn him, his left side grows into his skull. It's not that perfect mushroom all the way around. And my buddy Travis actually found a small piece of this side, and he said the bottom was real weird. Well, that explains why. He's not losing, let it focus, he's not losing this piece. And the reason shows right here. His skull's broke. Perfect. Broke. And you can really see it from the back side when you get in there. So his skull has actually started to grow back over where it's broke. So that's why he's always grown that weird side. So I have some of his sheds. This is from last year. He lost a little bit of height on his G2s, G3s too, and brow tines. Actually, his brow tine got bigger this year. So this was last year's. And then I actually had the year before, which is pretty cool. He lost that, but look at the blade on that G2. I mean, just, dude, he was so neat. Man, he was awesome. But I guess what I'm saying is, watch a deer before you think it's a genetic problem. Because if people would have had it their way, they would have shot this deer when he was little because he's got bad genetics. And he didn't have bad genetics. He actually had great genetics. Because if you mirror that side, I'll grab it. If you mirror this side over here, he is 161 or something like that inches as an 8-pointer. I don't know anybody that would ever complain about shooting a 160-inch 8-pointer. Mass, I mean, just mass. So I'm going to work on a podium for him. And, you know, the main thing is just watch a deer. Use your knowledge. Google things. Don't just automatically think it's genetics. And honestly, you're not going to be able to change it if it's genetics anyway. You're not going to be able to. This isn't a deer farm. Unless you're hunting a deer farm. And then I don't like you. Because you're not hunting. You're just shooting fish in a barrel. But watch them. See if a leg's messed up. See if they have a limp. See if you notice anything weird with their antlers. So the nice thing was, we never got a crack at this guy. So for the last 13 years, he's been breeding and he's been passing on them genetics. And we're kind of lucky that nobody shot him at an early age just because he had messed up antler. So just give you some food for thought, I guess.